Hello, guys. This is Gene. I want to respond to a couple comments that I've got talking about Jose Mourinho. But this video, like all my videos, will end up probably talking about some of the alt-right stuff that I need to talk about. But it's important to talk about where we are right now for Manchester United. It's clear that we've gotten better since Mourinho left. And there are a couple people that are basically saying now that they knew all along that Mourinho was the wrong fit for the club. Looking back now, it looks like that's the case. Although we did finish second in that last year, and we won a couple of trophies underneath him, more than the coach at Spurs has had. So there is this idea that Mourinho was the fault for all the stuff that happened on the pitch, and my idea has always been that the players have been at least 100%, or excuse me, half of the problem. And to see them playing better now, again, it's probably not the greatest competition other than Spurs, but this is Spurs. We always play well against Spurs historically. And man-to-man, as good as they are, they're still not better than us. So we have to get past this whole thing that just with Ole coming in now, when I did the last video after he was fired, nobody knew that Ole Solskjaer was going to be there doing what he's going to do. And it's great that he has this positive attitude and these players are expressing themselves. But the issue here is that the idea that Mourinho was not allowing them to express themselves, that's not the case at all. All he wanted was them to play in the system and track back, and a lot of guys wouldn't do it. And last year we had David De Gea was really good, and we had a lot of breakdowns that we didn't get hurt for. This year, we have a lot of breakdowns that we've been punished for. And even recently, there have been many times in the midfield that we've lost the ball, and either the goalkeeper had to make a great save or someone in the back four had to stop what was going on. This idea that we're so much better in the middle of the midfield right now, on the fact that Paul is playing a little bit better, that will pick over all the cracks that we have in the spine of our team. I saw Tottenham destroy us in the second half, and parts in that game, it reminds me under Mourinho or under Van Gaal. But as a fan, I'm very happy they're playing better, that they're more expressive and we're scoring goals. I still think that there's some players that need to be out of the team, or we need to get new players in. But the idea that, okay, now we're as good as Spurs, that's a good thing. No, we need to be better than Liverpool and City. And right now, man-to-man, we're not. On their day, can they beat everybody in the Premiership? Yes. Can they beat anybody in Europe? Yeah, they can. So I'm happy, regardless of what I said after he was fired and the blame that I put on the players. And it's still, this is more of a generational thing. When people respond to me, and there are not many people that do, I think they're a lot younger than me. I don't think they understand how it used to be that the coach had all the power, and now it's different because the players have so much money, so much fame, not even in the game, outside of the game they have so much fame, that they can pretty much dictate things in the team. And this happened with Mourinho. Now, again, his results were poor, and any other team in the world probably would have fired him for that. So I had no issue with the team firing him, because at some point the manager has to take blame for whatever the players are doing on the pitch. But we need to be open that now all of a sudden they're playing well. Ole didn't come in there and teach them how to play football. So instead of it's saying that Mourinho was the cancer or the virus, let's just be 100% true here. There was blame going on both sides. The other issue is somebody talked that he was offended because I talked about having a native players being on Manchester United. Maybe I didn't make it clear what I was talking about, and I'm going to be very honest here. The game has changed so much, and it's become more of a brown game. It has. And when you look at somebody that you're trying to emulate as a kid, you don't necessarily look at the color of the skin, but you try to see yourself in that person. And I have no problem with the game being multiracial. I have no issue with that. But in the last 10, 15 years, it's become so far to that part of the game. And we're importing people from Africa, what their parents came from. You know, this whole thing, if I say something like that, I'm racist, but they can say after France won the World Cup that Africans won the World Cup. Look, this is what I know. I said when an African nation can win the World Cup, then maybe I might say that they're better on us, white people, I guess, or Europeans to play the game. What I don't like seeing is that there are native players when they're 12, 14 years old, and they're being matched up against guys that mature a little bit faster on average, and they're being pushed in the back, and they end up playing in the lower divisions. Manchester United should not have 9 or 8 brown people on the field at one time. It should be a representation of Manchester. It should be representation of the country itself. Of course, the game is changing, and the racial dynamic is changing in Britain, but they're still an 87% white country. So it's one of these terms that if you say this, that means you're racist. No, I'm just saying that there's something at the lowest levels, and it's happening in the United States as well, that you're taught early on that you're not as good as that people because basically on the color of their skin, because they come from a lower economic background or something like that. It's more prevalent in the United States because obviously there's poor people in Britain as well, and they're also white and black, whatever. I mean, I still love Rashford. I still love Lingard. Even though both of these people are mixed, they have a white mother, but they obviously honor their, I don't know if Rashford is, but Smalley is. They honor the black side of them while half of them is white. But they're Manchester guys. I will never say they shouldn't be part of the national team, but there's something that's changed so much when you look at the 1992 team or the 1994 team, and you just see it's just changed so much. And it's not all of a sudden that we know. I mean, is this what we know right now, that black people can play soccer better than white people? That has not been proven at all. The game has changed a little bit, so maybe you think you need a speed in the midfield, but it seems it's something that's going on, and it's not. I'm not going to say it's conscious, but when you have coaches, and most of them happen to be white, that are picking the players, and they end up getting to play at the lowest level in the youth teams, and they get promoted, and you got the white guys like McTominay or a lot of guys that don't really get to the next level. Again, I'm not comparing like Pogba to McTominay, all right? But there's something going on. This game was played well at the elite level by Europeans, and Germans, even though they have their own issues with people that are not really German per se, they came there. So, but they're still, it's basically a white country. Sweden, Netherlands, all those teams have a lot of people there as well. And as an old guy, maybe I'm not staying up with the times, but I don't want to just see the entire game like it is over here in basketball, like it is in football, that it's just all black people. When they're in this country, they're only 13% of the population. They are not that, and we're 5 times more than they are. I don't care how great they are athletically. They're not, with that as much majority that we have people, we should have at least a 50-50 share on the field. We just should. And we are everywhere else, but when you get to the professional level, it just shut off. Now again, if white people are not playing the game, and this falls more into the whole thing about white men have been shamed for so long in the West, so it's kind of hard for them to have that testosterone and want to go out and give everything that they have in a sport when they're told that they're the problem all along. And I think that that's been a problem as well. But overall, it's like if I make this simple statement, which is factually correct, that American whites have their normal IQ, or excuse me, their average IQ is about 100. And if I say the average African American is 85, that I'm called racist and everything else under the sun. And they'll try to take down my video. They'll say I'm racist because I'm a white person. But they have no problem saying, on average, that black people are better athletes in the sports that we watch, like soccer, football, basketball. And they'll say that without any impunity at all. What I'm telling you is, unless they've been giving them more stuff. I've seen players at the high school level, when they play against each other, I've seen teams that are almost all white beat teams that's all black for state championships. I've seen this in basketball. I've seen this in soccer and everything else. Again, if you're the best, regardless of your nationality and race, you should play. Maya said there's something more below that's funneling away native people. And when I say native, I'm not just talking, because this man talked about being Scottish and that we've had two great coaches that are Scottish. And I understand there's a difference between being someone from Scotland and someone from England. I get it. You guys had wars against each other. I do. I'm talking about native Europeans that settled in those areas, and whether they settled in England or Scottish or Ireland or Wales. These are things that I'd like to see more. Again, people kind of looks like me. Again, you can take whatever I have to say and you say that's a racial thing, but it's not, because we hear all the time in this country that people who are minority, they want to see something that looks like them in powers of power. It's like in the NFL right now, our football over here. We had a lot of black coaches that got fired, not because they were black, but because their teams have been very poor. And a lot of them actually got to stay a lot longer than if it was a white coach. And now everybody says we have to do more things about having more black coaches in power in the NFL. They wouldn't say that if a white coach gets fired. And people try to talk about it, but nobody wants to talk about it because they'll lose their jobs for saying it. The guy from San Diego, his team got to the AFC Championship game, or the divisional championship game. He was a black guy. And they just kept talking about how great he is. And the guy that's going to be come up and possibly is going to be managing the Dolphins, he's somebody that's people of color. And they talk about great that their family came from El Salvador, and they're making this whole thing like it's part of the migrant situation that we have here. Well, he took his opportunity in this country and became a coach, and he's going to have a great opportunity to be a coach for the 32 teams that play in the NFL. He's going to be a coach and be the head coach. So good for him, and I hope he does great. It's just, again, I know I'm a different generation to a lot of people that watch this channel, and I should be woke on all this bullshit. I always was. I thought it was okay, but I know what's going on, because it's pushing it, everything else. And this gets back in the alt-right and all the media that keeps pushing this stuff, like Gillette, continually does this and says that the bad person is the white man in this scenario, and they do the same thing at the lowest level when it comes to athletics. They pick somebody just based on the fact of the color of their skin that they might actually jump a little bit better. I went through this and I just thought it was all bullshit, but I tried out for my high school team and I was better than everybody there. And I thought at first that the guy that they took was because he was a little bit taller than me, but it happened when it happened. And I'm saying this is a general thing, but I know this is happening. And again, white kids are not really athletic as they should be. We're not out in front of the street doing what we had to do like I did when I grew up. And still the black kids are doing that in their neighborhoods. They're out playing basketball and stuff, and they want to get out of that. And that's the motivation that they have. And again, I'm not against that. And I don't think we should have racial quotas. But this is something that's clearly happening. The AAU I've seen it happen. Unless you're just 10 times better than everybody in the gym, they don't select you. It is what it is. So to those people talking about Jose and how the native thing, that's my response to that. How this dovetails with the alt-right and how white guilt is just permeating through our people, I think it's also it's relevant. When you're told all along that you are the oppressor and you're the problem and everything else like that, what's going to give you the motivation to go out and work as hard as you have to do to get that scholarship at the university or play for a team? You're going to be you won't get out of your room. And when the media is telling you the same shit all the time, we need men to stand up and tell other boys, regardless of race, that they are valuable. So this Gillette commercial comes out, it basically says that the problem that we have is white people, because you see people of color stopping white people from doing shit. But do we have to go into statistics and say that the people that offend the least happens to be white and East Asians? I mean, why do they continually do this? And can we be factually correct and say all of them should be, if you're going to have this little debate that we have to change our masculinity or our behavior has to change, although it's changed so much in the last 40 years, because men will change because they want to be with women. And we will continue. We did this back with the vote. We eventually said, you know what, we'll give it to you. So this continually shaming of white men, do they think at some point that we're not going to do anything about it? And apparently we're not. In Europe, they're just cucks there, and we're doing it here as well. Sometimes when I talk like I'm a cuck when it comes to certain things. But there's going to be a point that we're going to stand up, and I don't know what that means. I'm not talking about a race war or anything like that, but it's going to be against the establishment. There's people that are in Antifa who think they're against the establishment. They clearly are the establishment. They are their foot soldiers for the Democratic Party. So you just can't continually do this. And I mean, unless you have so much technology that the white man's going to continually just be feeding his face and be in virtual reality and not ever wake up. I mean, at some point, people are going to wake up. And I mean wake up in a big way. Things like this and how enough people are saying it's stupid. Again, I don't know what's the event that would ever change it. I mean, if you rape your women, does that change anything? Didn't do anything in Europe. I don't know what the event will be. I don't know. So, again, I know I'm rambling here, but again, it's great that Ole is the coach. I hope he continually is successful. I hope that if we get in the top 4 and we get a nice run in some of the cup competitions, that he be able to stay on, because I think he is all about what United is. He's one of my favorite players of all time. So I would love him to stay on rather than having Pochettino or Zidane to come here. We should have somebody that has got the ties to the club. So the criticism of Mourinho that he didn't have that, I really understood that. But I thought at that point in his career that was the right time for him to get Manchester United. And I still believe this. If the players really bought in and they did what he asked we do, maybe we wouldn't have looked as like we used to in the past, but I think we'd have a better chance of winning the league. Obviously, the results didn't back me up on that. But again, you just cannot just blame Mourinho. Mourinho was never, people talk about he's a pragmatic coach. Well, yeah, he is. And the guy that won the World Cup was also a pragmatic player. France did not go up and down the field like they were going to score. They didn't do that till really the final, and when they got a lead and Croatia had to go get a ball or get a goal. They were pragmatic the entire thing, and they won the World Cup. The Premiership is usually an open division, and we like that. But there's going to be bumps and grinds. Do I think that we're good enough to get the top 4? Yeah, we clearly are. Out of the top 2 right now, I personally, man to man, I think we're still better than Liverpool is. City's a different level when you talk about talent, but you have to understand what their motivation is to win the league or try to win the Champions League. I think that it would be, they want to win the Champions League as the players they do. They've done the other stuff. So I think that they'll do that, and that might allow Liverpool to win the league. But we'll see when we play better players. We play Arsenal in the FA Cup. That'll be an interesting game. Arsenal has come off their form. Then we're going to play teams, Liverpool at home. We're going to get City at home. I think we're at home, yes. So we'll see. I think at the end of the day, we're going to be the one that makes the decision who's going to actually win the championship. If we can beat Liverpool at home, and if somebody else just gets something off of them, and City calls out a good run, that City will probably win it again. But you never know. We don't know if Liverpool has the stomach and the brain to fight at the end. We've not seen it yet. And that's the same thing with Spurs. Everybody talks about him coming to Manchester United. He's not won a trophy, guys. Now, he's in the semifinals of something right now, but he hasn't won anything. And as bad as you want to say that Mourinho was, he won a the Europa League, the old UEFA Cup, and he won the FA Cup, or was it the other one? He won 2 major trophies. So I shake his hand and say, you go on to do something else. I said it in my previous video. I would not be shocked to see this man in the Champions League next year. And the guy is still one of the greatest tacticians in the game. He is. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow I'll be watching Manchester United, and hopefully we'll do well. It's so different right now, and I don't like to think the way that I think in a lot of ways, and I don't blame the players. Obviously, if they give the opportunity to play for Manchester United, you do this. I just don't understand what's happening. England is 87% white. There should be a lot more white players playing for Manchester United. take it for what that means. It doesn't seem right to me. At the smallest level, if they're somewhat athletically superior to us in these type of games that we play,